Collin Martin is back in the news. Why? Because he's allowed to be, because he is woke and he's throwing a fit and he says, I can't stand up against hate if I'm not going to stick up for myself. I cannot, says theguardian.com. They brought him on because he's woke. I'm so woke. And he's a liar, and we'll talk about that. The English soccer chief resigns because he's a racist and a homophobe and all those things, or whatever they tell you to say. I will regurgitate it because I'm a sheep. Sheep. That's what you are. I think he's old. He wasn't told the new words of the day. He's old. USA versus Europe, the balance of power between women's football, and Megan Rapinoe's upset about it because she doesn't care that Man City and Manchester United and Liverpool, they have women's team and they're funding it right now. It's not good enough because they didn't fund it a long time ago when Megan Rapinoe was playing. She's only worth $3 million right now. And her book deal just went out on the 10th, a couple days ago. And if it doesn't sell enough, which I don't think it's going to sell enough for her to make another $1 million, and she married into money, so that's helpful. She's upset, and she needs to be upset right now because she's selling her book, and she wants more and more and more. We live in a greedy society, but that is what it is. And I made a commercial for you guys about development. Use soccer development using monster trucks. So we're going to pause this podcast with a commercial about this Sunday.
This weekend, get prepared to get annihilated. Coach Cameron's podcast and U.S. Soccer presents Mega Monster Truck Rally in Coach Cameron's backyard. Your favorite truck, Grave Digger. Don't miss the second annual barbecue Twinkie cook-off. Tickets are only $10. First 5 people at the gate get a bumper into the shin. That's right, a bumper into the shin. Sunday. This Sunday, be here or be smashed.
For the ones that are confused about the Monster Truck Rally in my backyard this Sunday. Be confused because nothing's happening on this Sunday except church. I'm going to go to church. Maybe not. If they still require mass and separating, I'm not going. All right, Bishop writing, I'm not going until it goes back to normal, which is hugs, high fives, shaking the hands, all that stuff. I don't know. And stop wiping the mic at church. They'll be like, after they speak and stuff, they'll clean with the sanitizer and do this. That's so annoying. It hurts the ears. Bishop Rick of the Corte Sierra Ward, stop cleaning the mic. It's too... Okay. It's overkill. And I get we need to do this so we don't get sued as a church or whatever. It's just not have it. It's just not have it. What? Need something? Yeah, this is the COVID-19 Coach Cameron podcast. I'm bored. Let me out of my house. Let me out, please. And then I want to make commercials with monster trucks. But speaking of the monster trucks, so at the tail end of this episode, I will show you the activities I do in my backyard with monster trucks, where I'll have my one son, Jack or Jed, they'll alternate, drive the monster truck into their shins and try to run them over for the prize of Twinkies. Yeah, I'm just kidding. We're not doing Twinkies. I just thought it was funny for my podcast. So we'll have that going on, and it's good for development because you'll have one player with the ball, which will be Jet, and Jack trying to run him over with the monster truck. He's trying to move out of the way, and then they alternate. And if you get hit by the monster truck, you switch. It's a great development tool. It is, actually. And we'll show you that later. But first, let's talk about the Collin Martin. What's up, Collin? Collin Martin, I can't stand up against hate if I'm not going to stick up for myself. This guy, he's a confused individual. He's a San Diego loyal midfielder at the center of 2 brazen acts of discrimination this year. Opens up about being part of the team who are willing to literally walk off the field for him so he can become famous. Why they get nothing. They get no playoffs because they play in what? The USL championships. They can't call it the USL championships anymore. Why? Because there's no championships. It canceled. Our coach has COVID. Cancel the season. The WNBA had a championship. The NBA had a championship. NFL will have a championship. Major League Soccer will have a championship. The women's professional soccer league had a championship, but not the USL championships. It's in your freaking name. Moving on. So Collin Martin, who is a very average player, and he knew he's in trouble, by the way. He knew he's in trouble. He wasn't good enough to play. He was a decent player, but not professional level, and he knew it. He said, well, if I come out gay and let everyone know, and everyone already knows, but if I come out and let the world know, they'll have to keep me. Wrong, they do not. When Collin Martin came out as gay in 2018, he didn't think it'd be that big of a deal, but he immediately learned otherwise. And even 2 years on, soccer, in its occasional and stubborn grotesquerie, recently found a way of putting his visibility and status as a representative to the test. Martin is speaking by phone from his parents' home outside of Washington, D.C. a few weeks after the USL Championship team, no championships, by the way, the San Diego Loyal, had an emotional end to the season created by them, Landon Donovan, that made worldwide headlines because that's what he wanted, in which a player's sexuality of all things became a story of the match because they created a story out of it. Disarmingly courteous and down-to-earth, the 26-year-old midfielder who is a very average player right now. He's 26. His career is over. Jet, can I just do a podcast? What? You're back online when? 9:30. That's in 10 minutes, man. Or 20 minutes. Don't worry. I'll get you. I have to end this podcast within 20 minutes because my son is going back online. I have to log him in and all that stuff. Hey, Jet, stop! Stop! Hold on, I'm going to pause this podcast. Oh, my gosh. Trying to run a podcast and do things at home when everyone's online school, shooting guns and all the stuff we're doing here in our home, it's almost impossible. Reading on. Though he began his professional career as a homegrown player of the MLS DC United in 2013, it wasn't until he arrived at Minnesota United FC in 2017 that he decided to stop lying. No, that's not what happened. It's partly true. And I'll explain the real truth after reading this. He stopped lying to his teammates, as he says. He quickly found out they supported him, and the following year he decided to publicly come out to his during the team's annual Pride Night after feeling the sting of an earlier missed opportunity when he was asked about his support of the different Pride theme initiative. He says, I had a journalist ask me, hey, why are you supporting this? Martin explains, I kind of gave her a BS answer, but I felt really stupid because I wish I could have just told her I'm a gay man playing this game, and to see my colleagues supporting something like this means the world to me. It was like there's so many people that have supported you up to this point to where you shouldn't have to withhold it from public. And I looked around, and there was nobody like me that he was aware of. And so I thought maybe I could be an example for somebody if I came out. That's not why he did it. You know, he did it. Let's be honest about that. So the real truth is this, because I know the truth on this. I think I know the truth, but here's my guess of the truth, which I think I'm right. He realized there wasn't a need for him. He wasn't getting goals. He wasn't getting assists. He's playing in the midfield. He wasn't really having much success other than a lot of fouls. He fouls a lot of people. He led the USL championships, which isn't the championships, by the way. It's just the USL Rec League, which that's what I call it now, until they decide to do championship games. He was leading in fouls. That's it. And yellow cards. That's it. Give or take a couple placements. But he was up there. But he was definitely tied for first for yellow cards. And that's what he is. He was realizing the next level was a big jump. He was a good player, but not great to play professional. And he knows the downgrading. He goes, well, if I can come out gay, I'll be very popular, which is true, because he'll be the first openly gay player in the MLS. And he realized if you're first, people recognize it, and then you'll create value for the team. They'll get more season ticket sales, whatever. That wasn't the case because he was that bad. Because even with more ticket sales and all that, and being the only openly gay player in the MLS, he was so bad they got rid of him anyways. Reading on. But after playing only 3 games in 2019 for Minnesota, the club declined to renew his contract. Why? because he's not good. And he sought a fresh start in 2020 in the USL Championship, a rung below MLS in the American soccer pyramid, with a new team out west, the San Diego Loyal co-founder and coach by Landon Donovan. So he goes over there to screw all those players. Literally screw them. Not sexually. He just ruined their ability to play in a playoff format that wouldn't finish the playoffs anyways. Reading on. But how his season ended in what we inevitably discuss amid a year marked by mass protests by civil rights, the young soccer team faced 2 brazen acts of discrimination. Yeah, the LA, well, let's see if they cover it. If they don't, I will. However, it's what they did about it that became the sports world analog of what was happening on America's streets all summer. It kept Martin and Donovan's busy for weeks afterwards, speaking to news media from social distance and to the likes of Good Morning America and from the other side of the Zoom screens. In their second to last game in the late September with the playoffs on the line, a member of the LA Galaxy too uttered a racial slur to Loyal defender Elijah Martin, who is black. Publicly, the Loyal forfeited the game 1-1 game in protest, so they won't even take the point. Brilliant plan. We're not going to take it. But Donovan and the players also made a promise to themselves. If it happened again, they'd take action during the game, not at the end. A lot of us didn't know what actually happened when it did, so we felt bad that we weren't able to do anything about it, Martin explains. He talked about it after the game, and he said, we need to know what this stuff, when this stuff happens so we can support our players and call it out. And second, that we'll get off the field if it ever happens again. So this is all premeditated. So to recap real quick, what happened here was Landon Donovan threw a fit. Okay. So someone on the LA Galaxy 2 said the N-word. And I can look it up for you. You can look it up for yourself. And no one caught it. They tied. Landon Donovan threw a fit because he learned afterwards. And he wanted to do something about it. It was coming to the end of the season, and he wasn't able to make his mark. This is my opinion, which I think I'm correct, or partially true. Landon wanted to be part of this woke movement. He's trying. So he called the USL and said, we do not want that point. We don't even recognize that game. Okay? So the 1-1, it was a draw, but LA Galaxy ended up just keeping the tie, and the San Diego Loyal just gave away the point. Don't even want the point. And Landon was sitting by his computer. I can totally see this, and waiting by his phone. All right, who's going to call me? I'm waiting for phone calls from the media and all that, and no one did anything. So Landon was mad. Landon was looking for an opportunity. He goes, okay, we have to go bigger. We have to make it happen during the game. So they're playing the Rising, and this is where it gets good. So let's read it on, see what they say, and then I'll tell you what really happens. Reading on, in the second to last game in late September. Oh, wait, we covered that. The next week, in the very next week after the LA Galaxy game, it did. During the first week of October, the Loyal hosted Phoenix Rising in need of a result in order to make the playoffs. At the stroke of halftime, with the San Diego up 2-1, Martin and his marker, Phoenix Junior Flemings, the top goal scorer in the USL, by the way, were verbally going at it during a San Diego free kick, which escalated to Flemings allegedly calling Martin a baddie boy. It's a malicious homophobic slur in Jamaican patois that offensive in any context, but especially this one. Okay, a baddie boy. I never heard of it ever until this all went nuts. So they threw a fit, and they actually have film. So here's the film of them. Golly, this podcast is butchered. It's butchered.
All right, folks, San Diego is walking off the field. Obviously, San Diego feels that what happened was unacceptable, and
So the San Diego Loyal players walked off the pitch after one of their players said, baddie boy. MLS player Collin Martin left the field with his teammates at the start of the second half. And it was a big deal. And look, it's all about Collin. And Collin even said He even said this is the first time he's ever been attacked for being gay. First time. He's had it so tough. He's had it real tough. He's had it so tough, he goes on the Late Late Show. Gets dates. He's getting hooked up by everybody. So the free kick went in, and Martin went to celebrate with his teammates, then ran to the referee to relay what happened. The referee, claiming neither to have heard the slur nor understand Jamaican slang, explained that his hands were tied. To a man and their coach, the Loyal were furious and telling an exchange between Donovan and his Phoenix counterparts. Rick Shantz was caught on video. Donovan explains that Flemings called Martin gay and that they got to get this out of the game, to which Shantz replied rhetorically to Donovan, the U.S. men's national team's second most capped player and joint leading scorer. They're competing. How long have you been playing soccer? Shantz later said in his comments were misconstrued. They absolutely were. On the phone, Martin said that the exchange was disappointing as a slur, to be honest. All right. I'm frustrated because this is how they roll. The woke left. They want to catch you making any mistake or a perception of mistake, and then they're going to nail you and they're going to crucify you, and if you apologize, you're going to get it worse. And that's where Ricky Shantz screwed up. He should never apologize because he did nothing wrong. He was having a heated conversation at halftime. He was confused. He thought they're talking about racism, and he's like, he called him gay. What? That's a bad thing? You're gay. I know. But he said baddie boy. Apparently that's worse. But it means gay. So he's a gay boy. So because of what he meant, what was in his head. And it's still alleged. And the problem I have with all of this, it's because they threw a fit, the referee, who didn't hear it, nor understand the language or anything like that, wanted them to crucify them, even though he didn't have the information to do it. It's like going to a judge. But I say this happened, so therefore you have to put him in jail. Oh, okay. Since you say. That doesn't make sense. I don't want to live in a world of that. And I'd rather the guilty to get away with it. I'd rather him get away with it if there's no proof. I want to live in that world. Because we already live in a crazy country where so many people get destroyed by the government and police. I've been a part of it. I don't want any more power coming to enforcement. Story. I got one. So I was driving my minivan. Yes, I have a minivan. And I ran it into a semi who cut me off. And cops came. I was assuming the semi was going to ticket. No, I got a ticket because when I showed my license was suspended. Why? I don't know at the time. So they're going to arrest me, impound my car because I was driving on a suspended license, which I had no idea. I was on vacation for a month in Seattle. I got a ticket. God, there's so many distractions in my home. So much is going on. Oh, I got to go. It's 9:30. Freak. Ah. All right, I'm back for more madness because I can't do everything. I can't be an online teacher, and it's too much. I don't know how everyone's doing this. And I don't like these shutdowns. I don't like, you know what? Everyone back to school. No more online. It's driving me crazy nuts. It is what it is. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. So I ran into a semi, and I was on a suspended license. I had no idea. I was on vacation at the time, and 6 months prior, I got I ran a red light. I did one of those stop and go turns where I was stopped at the red light. I kind of like, I made a right-hand turn. They flashed me, whatever. So I just paid the ticket. So I paid the ticket and I shorted it $2. I had no idea. I just paid the ticket, but there was a $2 processing fee. I don't know. And apparently, if you owe the government $2 with the MVD, you're gonna get your license suspended. I had no idea, and I couldn't prove in court that I had no idea. I just owed $2 freaking dollars, and I was so mad that happened to me. Anyways, so it hits a semi, and cop's like, "Hey, you're on suspended license." I'm like, "No way, I'm on a suspended license." Like, yeah, you're on suspended license. I'm like, he's like, "We're gonna have to impound your van," which wasn't functional anyways, and they were gonna arrest me, but he saw that I was a father and I was white. Because if I was a different color, I'm sure I'd been arrested and put away. Just kidding, but probably. And he let me go with no car. So anyways, I spent the rest of the day dealing with that. So I went downtown Phoenix, and I'm waiting in line. And it's in the hood, downtown Phoenix. And there's a line of people trying to get, their cars from, out of impound or whatever. So I'm in there, and I see a cop friend of mine that goes to church with me. It was Brother Newberry. Officer Newberry comes up, and he goes, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Getting screwed by the government and these stupid rules." Anyways, so he goes, "You don't have to come in line." White privilege. Gets me to the front, and as he's in the front, detective, he's in homicide or something, I don't know. Anyways, a detective comes up and he goes, "Hey," he goes, there's the guy that shot up that bar. It's like he's up for murder charges, and they're like, "Should we get him now?" And I'm sitting, listening to this in. I'm like, "What the freak?" And they're talking about this guy I was talking to for like 25 minutes waiting in line, and he's a murderer. And this is where I'm at. And anyways, so he's saying that he can help me on the impound and stuff, and he couldn't. And so he just got me in front of the line. And I had to pay a fee, and then I have to go. It was like $50 just to find out where my car was. And then I go to the place to get my car from the impound, and it was like $250. So $300 and fees and fines and all this. It's just devastating to a car that doesn't work. So I had it towed, and it's just whatever. So we just sold it for like $1,000 on parts. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. Over $2. And it was kind of like, whatever. So the next day I appeared from the judge, and I was just so mad. And the judge was happy with me because the judge is dealing with idiots all day, and me being one of them. I'm like, I had no idea. There was no whatever. Well, the state of Arizona says this. Therefore, you're screwed. Screw you. I was so mad. Then I get my license reinstated, and I have the picture. So look at this photo of me. Stare at that thing for once on my YouTube channel. That's an angry photo. Angry. Because I'm going to get my license. They're taking my picture, and the lady taking the picture says, "Smile." Because I was like, just the most angry face I can make because I want to remember this day. I was just so mad. And she said, "Smile." And they're like, "Oh!" I was just angry. I gave her this. Just like angry. And that was my photo. And I'll never forget that day. It was horrible. That's how scary the government is, ladies and gentlemen. Don't trust the government. Don't give them more power. That's why it's frustrating. You're racist. You're a homophobe. No. I'm libertarian because I do not like the government having power, because whatever they say, you're done. That's why I don't like Collin Martin and Landon Donovan doing what they're doing, saying, "Hey, you have to crucify him," even though you didn't hear it. Just do it. I don't like that. Do you understand why I don't like that? I just don't like it. It's not a good thing at all. Back to, this is such a long episode. Whatever. Back to what happened. So at halftime, back in the locker room, Martin says everyone felt the team should forfeit the match except for him. I was pretty adamant. I was like, no, we need to play this game. We'll deal with this later, he says. And that's what he should have done. But he says this, hopefully there'll be some retribution for the players, but I wanted to play. All my teammates were like, yeah, that's cool. But if there's nothing done to the player, we need to make a stand not to play. This was a big push by this man. Look how woke Landon Donovan is. Landon Donovan is an ignorant fool or evil, one of the two. I prefer he's just stupid and made a horrible decision that he'll hopefully wake up in the middle of the night and just like, yeah, that was pretty stupid. I've done it. I'm stupid all the time. But I try to realize how stupid I am. Forfeiting over discriminatory language is a subject that spurs all kind of debate online to varying degrees of coarseness. Obviously, the responsibility lies with the referee and the league in this situation, but is this the way forward? Even Martin doesn't sound sure. Of course. So if we're not going to let due process happen where you have to prove it, kind of like my case, I want the government to prove that I owed $2. Well, it was easy. Okay, I showed them. Here's the check and all that stuff. Well, it's better to overpay and have them refund you a check. So there's my information for you. It's scary to give people power. You can't give them power on where they have to have evidence. So I think they're realizing that this direction they're going is not the smartest thing to do. After a brief moment of reflection, he clarifies, what I would say is that I hope it doesn't happen for a homophobic situation like this again, but maybe walking off the field for racism is necessary. I know how this again, but maybe walking off, But I think racism is still so prevalent in our game today and all over the world. I think in order to make a big statement, if it happens to a team, they should walk off the field in support of that guy. Even though Martin had to go through this, all just for being who he is, he says good came out of the tough situation. No, it did. Only for him and Landon. Having played in numerous teams all of my life, he acknowledges that there's something special about this one and its coach, Donovan, who was adamant about where he stood, or rather what he wouldn't stand for. Martin also received a lot of messages from the gay community who were happy to see Martin's teammates stick up for him. Yeah, so he benefited. He feels good. He gets people an outpouring. And Collin even said himself, this is the first time it's ever happened to him. So he didn't live in this world of oh my gosh, everyone's going to attack me for being gay. That's not how it is. You're celebrated. You're celebrated. So he took the celebration. For the ones that came out gay in the 90s, in the 80s, they're brave. Not Collin. He's not brave. He's getting rewarded for those that actually went through real tough trials. That's where I have a problem with this. Because Landon said it was a choice with his team. It wasn't. Because Landon would say, we need to stand up for this. It's your choice, but a big but. You're pathetic, basically, if you don't. That's what it was. It was a horrible thing. Reading on, quote, that's what I hope people realize. You have to give your teammates a chance to receive you, and that's why when you are comfortable with yourself, I think coming out is the right thing to do. He says, if there are kids that are still quitting the sport because they feel like it's not for them, I hope they're more confident in themselves now, and also that they realize that kids can't say certain things that maybe were saying in the past. Martin says Loyal even spent the early offseason after the Phoenix Flemings, who had his life threatened on social media, was suspended from the team and fined by the league. Martin also accepted a personal apology from Phoenix coach Shantz because he had no choice. Looking ahead, Martin's future is uncertain at the moment. He considers San Diego home now. We'll see how long that lasts, because winning does matter eventually. And though he has yet to sign a new contract with the Loyal, he hopes to be back with the club. It's not heard to see why in a sport where racism and discrimination seem to present an endless series of rooms with no exit. There's at least one coach and team who are willing to literally walk off the field in the game for each other. No, it's stupid. It's so dumb. My experience in sports, what's great about sports, it brings people together. And if it's led by good leadership, and Landon Donovan is not good at his job. He's not a good coach. He's not a good manager. He is far from it, because it's about him. It's about he's trying to change the world through his wokeness. That is a foolish game he's playing, because it's selfish. If he would just focus on his team, and that's what I love about sports. Sports brings everyone together. It brings all ethnicities, all different lifestyle choices. It brings everyone together, and when you're brought together on a common bond of competing and winning, something happens there. A family is born with differences from all different kinds of walks of life come together. And under good management, they can find a way to bridge a gap one by one with a team of one. That's how it's done. And from that group that can learn together in that small unit, it spreads to one another through their families and their children's and their children's children. That's how change happens. It's not by social media. It's not from walking off the field and not facing adversity. It's not from that. It's disgusting what they did. It's wrong. No change happened. No change happened. People were crucified. People were forced to apologize because they were scared. And that doesn't breed any change. I hope that makes sense to you. And I'm done with this topic because we're moving on to the next topic. English soccer chief resigns after offensive public remarks on race and gender. This guy is screwed. He's so screwed. He said some silly things. The head of English soccer national governing body has stepped down after he made comments offensive to many black people, women, members of the LGBTQ community during a single appearance before a parliamentary committee. So this guy just destroyed himself on this online meeting, ending him, and they're going to keep coming after him. And the big mistake is he apologized, because when you apologize, what happens is the woke left will just, like a dog, when they know you're scared, they're going to destroy you and attack you, and it's bad. During a car crash online appearance before lawmakers from a digital, cultural, media, and sports parliamentary committee on Tuesday, Greg Clark, 63, referred to black soccer players as colored, an outdated and offensive term that sparked outrage. Called out for his language during the meeting, Clark apologized and backpedaled, blaming time spent in the United States where he was required to use a phrase, people of color. He said, making him trip over my words. Sanjay Bahardari, chairman of anti-racism soccer organization, Kick It Out, said he was extremely disappointed by Clark's remarks. His use of outdated language to describe black and Asian people as colored is from decades ago and should remain consigned to the dustbin of history, Bahandari said. It's completely unacceptable. Look how old this guy is. This poor guy. He had no idea what he was going to get himself into. Later, speaking about diversity within English soccer, Clark, who is also vice president of international soccer body FIFA, not for long because he's under attack, said South Asians and Afro-Caribbean people had different career interests. If you go to the IT department of the FA, there's a lot more South Asians than there are Afro-Caribbeans. They have different career interests, he told the committee, referring to the Football Association. Slip of the tongue, was it? Awful, just awful. Former soccer Darren Bent, who is black, tweeted after Clark's comments. Clark also referred to being gay as a lifestyle choice, and while paraphrasing, said female players at young age just don't like having the ball kicked at them hard. The professional network Women in Football said his comments were outdated and stereotypes. Yeah, they're outdated, but he's old. That shouldn't excuse that behavior, but this poor guy. Women in football tweets. The only balls you need to play in football are these two, referring to soccer balls. He resigned hours later. My unacceptable words in front of Parliament were a disservice to our game, Clark said in a statement later Tuesday. I'm deeply saddened that I have offended those diverse communities in football, and I and other work so hard to include. British Sports Minister Nigel Huddleston acknowledged Clark's comments had caused deep offense and said he was right to stand down. So this is where I have problems with these things. For whatever reason, the wokey left media people and all the nut jobs on Twitter and everywhere go crazy, and they don't allow forgiveness. This is where I have a problem, is we need to forgive. Just forgive. And we don't. And that's where our world is headed. We can't forgive. That's just how we roll. That's just how we roll. We just don't forgive. It's a big deal. The Football Association confirmed Clark's resignation and since appointed Peter McCormick as the interim chairman. The governing body said it was absolutely committed to tackling discrimination, while FIFA did not immediately respond to a request for comment. British soccer, like sports globally, has been wounded by the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Games were tentatively restarting some. I don't want to paint a picture of what we're living on. We're living in a coronavirus pandemic. Got it. There's lockdowns. Got it. Black Lives Matter demonstrations all over the place. Got it. We know what's going on. It's bad. It's horrible. We're in it. Talk about this in 10 years and we'll reread it. Clark's comment also follows remarks made by Northern Irish lawmaker Lord Kilclooney, who faced heavy criticism Monday for now deleting tweet referring to the vice president-elect Kamala Harris as the Indian. Not all agree with criticism of Clark. Former England World Cup star John Barnes, who is a Jamaican heritage. So here is someone that actually is forgiving. And of course, they put this at the very end because it's not newsworthy. It doesn't make good news, but I'm going to read this again. Former England World Cup star John Barnes, who is of Jamaican heritage, told NBC News that Clark's comments were likely a slip of the tongue, perhaps due to him being a particular age, and the public scrutiny should instead focus on his intentions. If you look to nitpick over situations like that, we lose great ability and possibility of really getting to the crux of inequality, Barnes said. Yes, he's clumsy in what he's actually saying because of the way he's been conditioned to think, but then to be called a racist and homophobe and a sexist is, I think, disingenuous and insincere. Yes, amen to that, John Barnes. We can't function as a society if we're not trying to really seek the ability to have real change and judge people by what they do, not what they say or a slip of the tongue. And I'm not saying what he said it was, proper or whatever, and maybe he shouldn't be in a leadership role like that, but they're going to come after him and they're not going to stop. And he's probably going to lose that FIFA job because they don't stop. They won't stop. So that, it is what it is. It's sad that we're going to live in this world of we're going to crucify you. And when we live in this world of let's just destroy as many people as possible, it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't fix anything at all. Speaking of unforgiven, USA versus Europe is a balancing power in women's soccer shifting. TheGuardian.com reports, U.S. soccer is ready to grow up, in a sense, adapting to the new reality of the global game, but are the people in the courtroom and the boardroom are really ready to grow up as well? Yeah, they're just not grown up. The next 15 months will determine whether the balance of power in women's soccer will shift to Europe or remain in the United States. It's in Europe. They already took it. Europe is controlling women's football. There's no doubt about it. They're doing some pretty cool things. And who in the right mind would not want to play for Man City or Man United or Liverpool to wear that jersey versus Portland Thorns. I'd rather play for Liverpool with no fans or limited fans than for the Thorns. To say you play for Liverpool, that's a big deal. Anyways, reading on. But that's just me. Will U.S. women's players resolve their lawsuit with U.S. Soccer and sign a collective bargaining agreement that allows players to gain experience with European clubs while also bolstering the NWSL? And would that agreement leave U.S. Soccer with resources to shore up a faltering player development system and perhaps even pay a men's team that has gone without a CBA for nearly 2 years? Or will the dysfunctional reign with an aging generation of U.S. soccer players crashing out in Europe while the NWSL and youth programs fall behind? They're not falling behind. It's the same athletes coming up. Nothing's changed. I'm going to an ECNL event this weekend to watch the same stuff I see every year. Same. Nothing changed at all. It's the same play. It's just we have athletes, but we're not teaching them technique, and it's disgusting. But that's another topic. This fall, several U.S. players are getting competitive games in England, WSL, while the USA's NWSL play mini seasons, and the women's national team has no one to play thanks to the USA bungled COVID-19 response. What? Oh, it's our fault. Yeah, whatever. They've gone with coach Vlatko blessings and perhaps a hasty revision to the national team's contract, the postponement of the Olympics, and the declining numbers of players on the federation contracts complicated the deal's restrictions on overseas plays, and neither U.S. Soccer nor team representatives would confirm whether those restrictions were waived or rewritten. And this is a tough time to get any deal from U.S. Soccer because they're hurting financially. But I do agree with taking money away from the federation when it comes to the CEO and these guys making a killing. Dan Flynn, and forgot the other guy's name. They're making $800,000 and $900,000 respectively, and we're paying for their gym membership. That is ridiculous. I covered that in another podcast. It just makes me insane that their $850,000 annual contract wasn't good enough because they still wanted them to pay for $150 a month for a gym membership because the $850,000 wasn't good enough. As sanguine as U.S. coaches and officials may be over the prospect of Sam Mewis and Roosevelt leading Manchester City into a pair of derbies, against Tobin Heath, Christen Press, and Manchester United, the marquee players' movement overseas has bolstered the WSL's push to supplement the NWSL as the world's best women's soccer league. Like the Premier League, the WSL is becoming an international brand. Games are now broadcast in the U.S. on NBC networks. Yeah, the NWSL is done. What are you talking about? It's done. There's too many words. The acronym, it's a 4-letter acronym for them. Or 4-letter. It's an acronym of 4. National Women's Soccer. It's too many. I confuse the NWSL with the WPSL, there's just too many. PASL. There's just too many. It needs to be like Major League Baseball, MLB, NBA, NFL, UFC. Oh, I think we'll just NWSL. No, you're done. The WSL kicked your butt with an acronym of 3. That's what you should do. But what do I know? I don't know anything. I just report random things because I'm stuck here on COVID. I want to go back to work. Like person to person. I think you've got to look at the quality of players that are now coming into our league, said Emma Hayes, coach of the defending WSL champion Chelsea and the former coach of the Chicago Red Stars. It's a destination for top players worldwide. Every game's a tough game. U.S. women's players' support of their home country's league is baked into their collective bargaining agreement. In addition to national team salaries of $100,000 for some players, U.S. Soccer pays NWSL, geez Louise, salaries at least $70,000, at least to 22 players. In exchange, the team agreed to limit the number of players under federation contract who could go overseas, which is kind of BS. You know, they should let them all go. But I get why they're trying to control that, because they want to keep the ABCD league going, the four-letter acronym I can't remember. Should be 3. But that deal expires at the end of 2021. One complication, the team and the federation are still bogged down in a lawsuit over pay. A judge ruled in the U.S. soccer favor on most of the serious issues. So the team is both appealing that decision while proceeding on a less controversial matters the judge less intact. The sides are due in court January, but COVID-19 has made the dockets even less predictable than usual, and it is a problem. It's a big problem. I don't see them winning it. By the time they finish the litigation or whatever, they're going to be on their next collective bargaining agreement. You know, you agree to these terms, but we don't like them because we performed well in a World Cup where it was B-level competition. What do you mean B-level? Well, the women's don't have the rights like the U.S. does. The freedoms we have in the United States, especially for women and young ladies playing the game, is different than in Brazil, than in third world countries where soccer is king for the men's side. So, yeah, it's not as difficult of competition as one would think. It's still World Cup. Congratulations. But let's be honest about it. If it was truly a world stage, and it is changing, as things change, the U.S. women's will be no different than the U.S. men's, because the competition will be too difficult, because culture will always win. Reading on. The practical issues in that the lawsuit creates a moving target for what is fair under the CBA, said UCLA law professor Stephen Bank, who has written extensively on the multitude of soccer-related lawsuits in the U.S. The women have been asking for equal pay in a far different sense than the purported equal pay deals in Norway, Australia, and England, where their men's and women's teams receive equal percentages of tournaments, bonuses, but not equal dollar amount, and defining equal is difficult when the women's get salaries, NWSL subsidies and benefits, while the men only get bonuses. So it's very confusing of what equal pay, and it's not about equal pay when it comes to Megan Rapinoe and company. It's more of, we're going to make you pay for the past and the mistreatment of women. And there is problems like how they fly and all those things, and you know, they're not treated the same. I agree. There is problems I can see, but they're treated number one throughout the world. There's no doubt. The U.S. is always number one, even though people want to make us seem like U.S. is such an evil place to be, even though it's the leader of the free world. We're evil. They want to paint that picture, because if they can't paint the picture, you can't get clicks, and no one's going to like you. And that's why Megan Rapinoe's sort of fit, because that's what she does. That's why she's attacking Manchester United. It's like, just because you're taking care of it now, it doesn't excuse what you did in the past. She's very selective with, who she'll forgive. She'll forgive her brother, and have understanding, but not Manchester United. They're evil. They've been around 200 years. And say that 50 years ago they were first to get the women's game going. She'd be mad about what they did 70 years ago. It's not a world I want to live in, where you can attack anybody. It's easy. We're humans. We have flaws. It is what it is, and it's just not a place I want to live in. And I'm done talking about that. I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about monster trucks. Let's go back to the commercial. And then I'm going to show you the monster trucks.
This weekend, get prepared to get annihilated. Coach Cameron's podcast and U.S. Soccer presents Mega Monster Truck Rally in Coach Cameron's backyard. Your favorite truck, Grave Digger. Don't miss the second annual barbecue Twinkie cook-off. Tickets are only $10. First 5 people at the gate get a bumper into the shin. That's right, a bumper into the shin. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. This Sunday, be here or be smashed.
Yes. So there's nothing this Sunday. I just thought it was a fun commercial to put together. So this is what I did in my backyard for the ones that want content from me that shows ways to develop your children or anybody in the home. It's through monster trucks. I just got to find it. So real quick. So I got monster truck soccer drill. So here is... I didn't tape that on well.
What?
So so this is an activity you can do in your backyard. So I have Jet, who doesn't like playing soccer, hardly at all. He is touching the ball more than he's done in a very long time because I inserted a monster truck. So for someone that wants to manipulate their children to love playing the game or make it a little more difficult, you can tell Jet is not the most technical player because he hasn't touched the ball a lot. So I'm trying to change that through inserting monster truck soccer. So, and it's good. And even for Jack, so Jack will be on the ball in the second. Oh, good. So there's the wreckage of the shin. So the goal of this game is, can you crash the monster truck into your child's legs or the ball? Teaching them to avoid that. So Jet loves this game. He loves playing. We were playing last night. We're playing soccer cornhole. He's kicking the ball much more than he's typically has done. Because of this. This is how creative you have to be, especially. Oh, good. That was a good hit. So this is what you can do to develop your child in the game. So let's move forward to Jack. So here's Jack, who's obviously older and more technical. This is good pressure for him, fun, making the game fun. And, this is how I roll. And this is what we did. And I'll let you guys watch the rest of it as I head out. I hope you guys had a wonderful, wonderful day, and I hope you have wonderful plans this weekend with your family. And, just enjoy life the best that you can. It's hard for me to enjoy too much with this shutdown and everything because it is affecting a lot of people, which is very, very sad. But find a way to be creative in your home, especially with soccer being shut down and all these different things with youth sports. You're going to just have to be creative at home. And this is one way of being creative. And I'll bring you guys every week, if not more, ways you can develop your love for the game in your backyard through backyard soccer activities. This is what I do occasionally. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time.
Don't go out of bounds. Oh, you're dead. All right. Your turn, Jet. All right. All you do is hit Jack or the ball. Oh, is it dying?
No, I just keep making it waves, but
Oh, get him! Get him! All right, switch up.
I can win. Here, give me the control. I'm gonna get it first try.
All right, here we go.
Flick it.
No! Out! It's out of bounds, goofball.